Y'all saw Kendrick's performance?
No, man, I still haven't watched the whole thing. I
haven't seen the whole thing either, but
seen like people's opinions on them.
I've seen enough.
Yeah,
and Twitter at this point is a goddamn disease, man. It's a parasite.
Don't do that. That ain't Twitter's fault. It's just people on Twitter.
That's what I mean, though. But the point of the fact that still is the platform, though. Twitter and the internet in general gives everybody the voices,
right?
And there's pros and cons to everything. 100%. One of the biggest cons to that is that it also gives voices to all the dumbasses as well.
Of course.
Okay.
And the dumbasses, we all know what's the saying. I've said it multiple times. The dumbest motherfuckers is always the loudest.
Yeah, 100%.
They're always the loudest. So while most of us may not be ignorant as hell, damn it, the ones that's mainly talking in the media, they the one that's ignorant as hell.
Like man.
And like when it comes down to, I guess I gotta hit the religious folks first, man. And I'm sad to do it. Ooh. But damn, man, like people were mad at him because he was dressing up like Jesus. I'm like, you guys have to understand context. Mm-hmm. That was clearly symbolism. And even if you listen, you don't even necessarily have to listen to his album that just dropped to know that. He literally said it at the end of his performance. Literally. That he wears this to remind people to never forget one of the greatest prophets to ever walk this earth. Jesus Christ. Exactly. And he's wearing the crown. They're mad at him because he's wearing the crown of thorns and he's bleeding. But it's symbolism. Mm-hmm. What gets on my nerves is that people like to say, is he comparing himself to Jesus, putting himself on the same level? No, he's not saying that shit at all. And people, I know they can understand that, but that goes into ignorance. There's two forms of ignorance in this world. There's the innocent ignorance, where it's just you don't know. You could learn and you're open to learning, but you just don't know something. But then you have the ignorance that is just abomination and is just it's a threat to all of our existence. I like to call it the type of ignorance where you don't know and you don't want to know. Yeah. You don't want to know. You don't give a damn enough to know.
That's dangerous.
But thing is, that's one thing. If you don't care enough, okay, that's cool. But stop talking so strongly on it. God damn. Yeah, it's like dangerous. With an uneducated but I don't understand. People is like, so comparing them to Jesus thing. It's like, bro, all you're saying is that even someone like Jesus, who we view as perfect, you don't have to be religious to understand this. Mm-hmm. Even someone like Jesus, who was viewed as perfect, was betrayed. He was crucified and he died. They also have to remember that Jesus is also human too. Mm-hmm. He is God in human form. Exactly. That's what he is. That's not to say that he's not perfect or whatever. Like, that's a whole other topic. The point is that even someone that can reach these heights, they can also get down. They can also be subject to crucifixion, to being betrayed and things like that, and to being judged. Even Jesus Christ was judged. So it's saying that if even someone that great can be judged like that and face that much negativity, you don't think that a mere mortal like a regular human can face that too? Exactly. And how other ways can I break it down? Because I was talking about this. I can even make an analogy to, I don't know, some of y'all watch sports. I can make an analogy to basketball, man. I've mentioned basketball. I love basketball. I don't really talk about it on this because it doesn't necessarily fit like the theme all the time. But I'm going to say it like this. NBA Finals just ended. Right. And Jason Tatum, if you know me, you know he's my favorite player. You see me, I'm wearing the Celtics hat right now, man. It was a demise, man. It was sad as fuck. But I'm happy we got there. But my point is saying is that Jason Tatum was playing great up until that point. But in the finals, the most important moment, he played terrible. Like, he shot like 37%. Man. Right. He had a rough time. Mm-hmm. And people automatically, they go and they're slandering his name, acting like he's almost a scrub, acting like he's done. I'm like, Jason Tatum is 24 years of age. His story is not written yet. It's not finished yet. And also, even LeBron James in his first finals, he was younger. I understand that. But let me get to my point. LeBron James in his first finals got swept by the San Antonio Spurs, and he shot 36% from the field. Mm-hmm. But we all know what LeBron is. LeBron James is still arguably the greatest player of all time. GOAT. James. He's still arguably the greatest player of all time. You may disagree, but he's in the argument, right? So my point. But when I say that, when I say things, and Kobe averaged 15, I know you missed some games, but and LeBron James has had on three different occasions had what you could call flame outs. We all know the most infamous one in 2011 where he flamed out. But like I said, in his very first finals, he also shot 36%. Damn. And then also, I believe it was in 2010, his last 3 games or so, a couple of games or so, his owner accused him of quitting on the team. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, even someone that's so great can reach those lows. But when I say things like that, people are automatically like, you're comparing Jason Tatum to LeBron. Like, he's on. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, people like, the point is not that hard to understand.
Just putting context with
it's like, even if someone that this great can reach lows to that degree, why is it so flabbergasting and unbelievable that someone lesser than has done the same thing.
Yeah,
that's nearly a rookie.
And that's literally like that's most one-to-one analogy I can make between like something else in this whole Kendrick Lamar situation that is going on.
that's a good analogy.
That's good. Yeah, it is a good
He says in the album, his favorite song is like Savior, because he's in this on the literally song he's saying, I'm not your savior, this and that. And literally part of what he's talking about throughout the whole album is how if you listen to Kendrick Lamar's music and you heard his fans, because you know the memes and all that shit, how like Kendrick fans, they be trying to milk it and they be trying to stretch it. Which some of them are the slobbers. They do. Yeah, some of them do. Some of them do.
I don't mind it though.
But no, some of it's ridiculous.
That's
very much.
But even with that, Kendrick Lamar's music, and if you know me, I view Kendrick Lamar as like the best rapper of all time.
Definitely.
You can disagree with it
I
if you
think he's the
want.
best rapper.
Definitely.
But
Go.
You can't say
break that down for another segment.
you're not part of the GOAT list.
Yeah,
you can't say you're not.
If you appreciate like
deny
rap
his
and all the
greatness.
skill and the poetry and the artistry inside of it, and all that
deny his
stuff, the deep
greatness.
cuts, then yeah. But that's like almost like a different discussion. But Kendrick Lamar's discography, it's almost to the point where you can say that it's prophetic.
Definitely.
In the lessons that he talks about and how deep he goes into things, to the point where even someone like me, and I'm sure y'all too, if y'all listen to this stuff, you sit down, especially as us as kids, because we grew up on him. I started listening to Kendrick Lamar when I was barely double digits. He was the first rapper that I really like dove like super deep into everything.
Trying to dissect his music.
Yes, everything word for word. And y'all do know that, understand that Kendrick Lamar also had like a college course that was named after his album, Good Kid, Mad City.
Good Kid, Mad City.
Even though not the whole course was based off of that. Like, that just goes to tell you how deep he goes into things. But also with him reaching that level of greatness, it sets him up to this point where he's almost looked at as like this higher than life being.
Right.
If he does anything that's different from this conscious stuff, they look at him like he's crazy. Yeah. Or if he tries anything that's different, they look at him like he's crazy. Or the most important thing I guess I can bring up is like in 2020 with the whole Black Lives Matter thing.
Yeah.
Right.
How people were mad at him, Jermaine Cole. They was mad at them because they quote unquote had discographies full of black plight and things like that. But when this came around, they couldn't even tweet. They're mad at them for not tweeting. Shit like that. Silly shit.
Exactly like that.
Like that.
Even though they voiced their opinion on these Black
But
Lives
on
Matter.
this
whole album.
But exactly, because whether or not y'all want to admit it, Black Lives Matter, it has literally all the traits of 2020 specifically. It had all the traits of a trend. People was literally posting on Twitter black squares and this and that, and they was trying to make people feel guilty if they didn't say anything. How about we? I've said this before all the time. Just how about we just try not to be jackass? Let's just say that. But during the whole time, if you listen to his album, he talks about how during these past 5 years, where he hasn't dropped the album, he's working on himself and he's reached a lot of lows and things like that. That's why at the end of his album, he says like, I choose me, I'm sorry. That's also why during on the song like Crown, he says, heavy is the head that chose to wear the crown. Yep. To whom much is given, much is required now.
Right.
Like he knows that partially he is himself to blame for like the scrutiny that he has faced, because he has been reached such a level of greatness that I'm not even sure if he understands fully how people really almost break his shit down, his lyrics down, almost similarly to the Bible.
Literally.
Like it really does get to that point. You can learn lessons like just like that. You could argue when it's all said and done that Kendrick Lamar has a lot of traits of a philosopher. I don't know why we're scared to call people philosophers nowadays, but there are definitely some people that you can argue.
I don't think that's wrong to
level.
say. Yeah, I don't think that's wrong to say.
Exactly.
At all.
Like Dave Chappelle, you can argue that stuff too. But that's what he's saying. But he goes all this to say that he wants to humanize himself. He wants people to realize, because it almost seems like people kind of forget that because they're so focused on him being this leader. But at the end of the day, he is a person. And he's not trying to be Martin Luther King. He is showing his self-expression. He's expressing himself through his music. And it's important that we have people that do that. But when it comes to that performance, that's what it is. It's symbolism.
Symbolism.
And I just don't understand why that is so hard for people to get and why people are so quick to judge it in such a negative way.
I don't. It's easy.
I don't think people are true Christians sometimes.
Because it's easy. That's why.
Facts.
It's easy to chastise somebody for being different.
Facts.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but it just looks weird.
Right.
So I'm gonna just get on his case. You can say that about any person that's reached greatness.
Facts. Especially those who like try to give a higher message. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You got people like LeBron. Shut up and dribble. The man is so impactful. He can impact other sports and what do you call these social justice movements. He can do it on and off the court.
Over his I Promise school and things like that. And I'm sure there's plenty of other things that he does behind the scenes that he doesn't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But they'd be like, man, but you play basketball though.
You making millions of dollars. And
you shouldn't have no say in none of that. Shut up and dribble. Mm-hmm. When you reach that kind of, it's like the saying that always says, with great power comes great responsibility.
Well, to whom,
Spider-Man, the GOAT.
To whom as much is given, much is required now. Like, heavy is the head that chose to wear the crown. Things like that.
I'm sure these guys know this.
Mm-hmm, they understand that.
Like, but you don't get to this level without having some type of burden on your back.
But it also doesn't mean that it ain't bullshit.
100%. And that's why I say it's easy.
It is easy.
It's easy as hell to wake up and just see some shit and just come up with an opinion like that.
Be a hating ass
it's like
nigga.
Y'all just don't want to you see something right away and you're so quick to just comment on it. It's like exactly. I'm not gonna fuck all this shit research.
I don't want to learn nothing
about that.
Right, I don't want to read into it.
I just see this shit right now and I see Kendrick Lamar. He's bleeding from his shit. Oh, he's trying to be Jesus. Oh, he's corny. All right, like
literally,
you don't understand the context.
I talk about that shit on my TikTok all the time.
Rob's philosophies.
Everyone needs to just take a second to slow down and really just stop being so reactive to what's going on in their surroundings, because when you react with emotion, then you're going to get an emotional response back. You're not taking a logical perspective on the entire situation. Kendrick Lamar never one time said, I'm Jesus Christ, the way that Kanye did, right? Mm-hmm. He simply performed on stage wearing a costume that symbolized Jesus.
Which I mean, they do already in churches. Like they'll put on plays, they'll put on performances outside and have a nigga dressed as Jesus.
But you see, he's a rapper doing that though. You gotta think he's a that's really what it is. He's seen as a rapper, and he's a rapper doing stuff like that. It's not. Doesn't affiliate with the culture of being a rapper, basically.
He's a rapper who's been perceived in the news as a thug and a gangster. That's what the problem is. And I always talk about the word choice of the news, because during the Black Lives Matter movement, they were calling the people that were rioting thugs, but the white folk that stormed the Capitol.
Oh, don't even start on that, bro.
The white folk that stormed the Capitol. We're patriots and we're just being rowdy, but we were thugs for the injustice,
fighting for their country. Like, are you kidding me, bro? You demasculated the most important house in America. But y'all patriots though.
Confirmation bias and ignorance was just gonna be the death of us all, man.
Man.